करते अपने विरोधी को हराने के लिए आगे बढ़ते जा रहे हैं। प्रत्येक दिव्यास्त्र को उचित दिव्यास्त्र से रोका जा सकता है, लेकिन उनका चयन योद्धाओं की बुद्धि पर निर्भर है। कुरुक्षेत्र के इस युद्ध में क्या आप जीवित बच सकते हैं, इसका निर्णय भाग्य और योद्धाओं के कौशल के हवाले है। जानिए, आपको मिलती है वीरगति या बनते हैं सम्राट युधिष्ठिर के राज्य का हिस्सा। खेलिए महाभारत युद्ध पर आधारित यह रोचक खेल, रणभूमि कुरुक्षेत्र।
नमस्कार, स्वागत है आप सभी का कही सुनी सीजन 2 के इस विशेष एपिसोड में। और विशेष इसलिए क्योंकि जैसे पिछले सीजन में हमने कुछ ऐसे ग्रुप डिस्कशन किए थे जिनमें हमने अलग अलग टॉपिक पे बात करी थी। हमने जैसे स्मॉल रोल बिग इम्पैक्ट करके एक टॉपिक पिक किया था, जिसमें महाभारत के हमने उन छोटे किरदारों के बारे में बात करी थी जिनका महाभारत की कहानी में बहुत बड़ा इम्पैक्ट रहा। उसी कड़ी को आगे बढ़ाते हुए इस बार आज के इस अंक में हम लोग बात करेंगे फॉरगॉटन कैरेक्टर्स ऑफ महाभारत। ये इसलिए जरूरी है क्योंकि महाभारत एक बहुत विस्तृत, बड़ा महाकाव्य है। आई थिंक इससे बड़ा महाकाव्य कोई लिखा नहीं गया, और जाहिर सी बात है कि उसमें बहुत सारे कैरेक्टर्स हैं, बहुत सारे किरदार हैं। और जब आप मॉडर्न रिटेलिंग की बात करते हैं तो वो उसको किसी तरीके से संकुचित करके एक छोटे पैकेज में प्रेजेंट करने की कोशिश करते हैं, और उसमें कई बार बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंट कैरेक्टर्स हैं वो सेक्रीफाइस हो जाते हैं। और इन कैरेक्टर्स के बारे में बहुत लोगों को, अनलेस वो अनएब्रिज्ड वर्जन ना पढ़ें, उनको पता नहीं चलता है। तो इसलिए आज हम लोग भारती जी और प्रांशु जी के साथ बात करेंगे फॉरगॉटन कैरेक्टर्स ऑफ महाभारत के बारे में। और हम इसमें कुछ 6-7 कैरेक्टर्स के बारे में बात करेंगे, और अगर जरूरत पड़ी तो इसका और भी सेशंस रखेंगे बाद में। सो ज़्यादा इस बारे में बात न करते हुए लेट्स गो टू द फर्स्ट सेट ऑफ कैरेक्टर्स, and that is a very important character from the perspective of Mahabharata, because they were the adoptive parents of a very key character, Karna. So Karna was a very important character in Mahabharata. He played a very key role in shaping Duryodhana's ambitions. Duryodhana's biggest strength, he used to at least believe that, was Karna in his mind. And till the time Karna was alive, Duryodhana never lost hope of winning the war also. It was after Karna's death that Duryodhana actually felt disappointed and dejected and thought that he has lost the war. So because Karna was such an important character, his parents would also be very important, because they were the ones who adopted the child, picked him up from the Ganga, और फिर उसको अडॉप्ट करके उसको उन्होंने एक योद्धा बनाया। तो इस राधा और अधिरथ, कर्ण को राधेय भी बुलाते हैं, और अधिरथ वाज अडॉप्टिव फादर, ही वाज द प्रिंस ऑफ अंग। तो भारती जी से बात करेंगे हम लोग राधा और अधिरथ के बारे में। तो भारती जी, ओवर टू यू।
Yeah. So in fact, taking off from what you were saying, I had recently posted this tweet that Yudhishthir actually had the right understanding of the equation between Karna and Duryodhana. He asks, when Sanjay comes to him to talk during the Sanjay Yankar, he asks actually Sanjay, how is Karna, who is the advisor of Duryodhana? Duryodhana listens to him, and all of his actions are governed by Karna's advice. So that is the role that Karna actually plays in the Mahabharata. A lot of Duryodhana's decisions, most of them, every decision that involves Duryodhana going to war, in fact, is because of Karna's influence on him. It is usually because Karna gives him that idea. So given that, and the common idea that Karna was adopted by a simple charioteer, poor charioteer, who had no, and he didn't have access to training and all that. How does this equation fit in with the common idea of what his parents were? So obviously it doesn't fit in. So how does it work out there? The first thing is that the whole idea of Adirath and Radha being very poor, impoverished citizens of Hastinapur is not right. First of all, Adirath is quite competent in his own right, and all that we see in the Mahabharata about him is that he's a frail old man. Nowhere do we see that he's an impoverished, poor, bichara charioteer who's repairing chariots. Nowhere do we see that. We see that he's a frail old man, and that is perfectly true because Radha and Adirath do not have any children. They are a childless couple. And because they are a childless couple and have been a childless couple for long, when they accidentally come across this child in the basket in the Ganga, they adopt him and shower all their affection on him. So Karna actually brings a turning point in their life as well, because after they adopt Karna, Radha has several other children, and they have quite a full family with grandsons. Karna has grandsons as well. So Radha and Adirath have an entire brood after they adopt Karna, which is why they have a great deal of affection for the child. They bring up the child with a great deal of affection. And they also give him the best that life has to offer, because Adirath makes use of his close friendship with Dhritarashtra to ensure that his son gets the best in life. Like we were talking about Satyavati wanting the best for her child and asking that her child should be king. Same way, like every other parent, Adirath also ensured that his son, although he was an adopted son, he ensured that the son got the best of privileges. He made use of his friendship with Dhritarashtra to get him access. अभी IIT coaching में access जैसा. He got him access to Hastinapur's elite actually. And Karna was actually sent to Hastinapur when he came of an age to start training. So I was just thinking today that he might have started training a long time before Duryodhan joined Kripa's Gurukul. So
Duryodhan
he might
was
have
born.
been.
He started training probably a long time before Duryodhan was born.
Super senior.
He was
So
16
that
to
was
20 years
probably,
older than Duryodhan.
Yeah. So that was why maybe Duryodhan was so influenced, not just because of the age, but because this guy was a super senior and all that
Exactly.
in college. जिसने रैगिंग नहीं की होगी इसकी तो बड़ा दोस्त बन गया होगा. तो that is probably another reason why.
जब द्रोणाचार्य ने अपना यूनिवर्सिटी खोला, कोटा कॉलेज ऑफ इंजीनियरिंग, तो वहां पे उनको भेजा गया कि जाओ आप यहाँ पढ़ो.
हाँ, सबको
अंग से जैसे लोग कोटा जाते हैं ना इंजीनियरिंग तैयारी करने, वैसे ही कर्ण को अंग से भेजा गया इधर कि जाओ हस्तिनापुर में, वहां नया स्कूल खुला है, द्रोणाचार्य ने खोला है, जाओ पढ़ो जाके वहां पे.
और वहां पे मुझे इन्फ्लुएंस भी तुम्हें आराम से मिल जाएगा, सीट चलो जाओ,
वहां पे एडमिशन भी मिल जाएगा आपको, टेंशन नहीं.
That is another thing basically Mahabharata is telling us कि you are never too old to learn. So Karna must have gone through the whole training cycle, and then with Duryodhan and others when they joined, even Pandavas went through a whole training cycle. At least Bhim and Yudhishthir under Shukra, that son of so basically Prashad. So they basically already gone through a training cycle, and they were trained by Kripacharya, and then again trained by Drona. So Karna would have also availed of their opportunity.
पहले अंग में पढ़ाई करी होगी, हो सकता है कि मतलब अपने घर में जब छोटे रहे होंगे तो अंगराज के आंगन में खेल रहे हैं, वहां पढ़ाई करी, बेसिक एजुकेशन. उसके बाद फिर बोले यार ये नया कॉलेज आया है, यहाँ से पीएचडी करते हैं जेएनयू में जाके, तो कन्हैया कुमार बन गया जाके
वो कन्हैया कुमार बन गए.
20 साल से यही पढ़ रहे हैं.
अंग में definitely he would have trained, because we see that the other brothers, because they were all they were in the vassal of Hastinapur, which means they would have anyway fought in the war for Hastinapur from the Kaurav side, which means they would have had an army at the ready for supporting the Hastinapur wherever they went to war and all that. And इसीलिए हुआ होगा कि as part of the royal family, all these kids would have got some basic training. Just like Pandu was training his kids when they were younger and then transferred them to a guru. Same way, at Ang also, all these fellows would have been trained by the kings and the princes there before they went to formal education. ऐसा नहीं कि पहले छोड़ दिया preschool में कुछ नहीं किया, सिर्फ rhymes पढ़े और suddenly गुरुकुल भेज दिया. So that was not it.
If you look at the number of people named, right, warriors named, so most obviously Duryodhan saw bhai. So the most number of warriors would be from Kuru in the Mahabharata war. And then Panchal have a lot of warriors named because they were a very important part of it. And they were a very big support system for them. The next highest number comes from Karn's own family: 8 brothers, 8 sons, 18 grandsons, and 15 other relatives mentioned without names. So there was this huge family, which obviously all trained as warriors. So Ang also had a good enough university.
Yeah.
बिहार की भी अच्छी यूनिवर्सिटी थी.
Substantial,
हाँ मतलब
churning
आप
out substantial
IIT से नहीं पढ़े
warriors.
लेकिन NIT से पढ़े.
Exactly.
मेरठ नहीं आना पड़ा सबको यूनिवर्सिटी के लिए.
Yeah.
So if you see, Radha and Adirath actually make a big sacrifice. Giving up all their children for this war. अगर सिर्फ हस्तिनापुर लड़ाई में होता तो maybe they would have kept some reserve force of sons to not send into the war. But I think because Karna was involved directly,
had passed away, so maybe but Radha may have still, and that's another part of it. Ki we don't get mention of Radha other than Karna's name Radhe. That's a very, very important point on the chorus side. Everybody, Bhisham, Drona, and everybody without mother. Drona born without mother. Karna with 2 mothers actually ignored both mothers. So if you think about it, so that there is this ये एक tendency है कौरवों के अंदर to ignore the feminine part of their. And Pandavas literally were fighting on the feminine.
और गांधारी को भी इग्नोर करते ही थे ना वो. गांधारी की एडवाइस भी नहीं सुनी कभी. गांधारी यूज्ड टू ऑलवेज गिव गुड एडवाइस बट दे ऑलवेज यूज्ड टू इग्नोर इट. तो जिनकी मदर थी भी वहां पे उसको भी इग्नोर ही करते थे. और राधा would have been in Ang, right?
Jayadrath. See, Jayadrath is spared by the Pandav because of Dushala.
Yeah.
And although Jayadrath says that I don't want to die on day 14th after Arjun makes his vow, कि मैं Jayadrath को मारूंगा, otherwise I'll jump into fire. Jayadrath says, नहीं, he's going to kill me, let me go home. Duryodhan insists that you stay here just to become the carrot at the end of the stick to lure Arjun in.
Kill
so
Arjun,
his
yeah.
need to have a bait for Arjun is greater than his affection for his sisters.
Sutradhar, so that is exactly.
He doesn't care कि Jayadrath मर जाएगा. He says, okay, it's okay. If in case Jayadrath dies also, it's okay. But I can't give up this opportunity to make sure that Arjun kills himself because we are not able to kill him. So let us use this guy as bait. He's literal bait there. So that's how they view their women folk. And we see in the case of Bhanumati anyway that she does not want to marry Duryodhan, although Bhanumati is not mentioned there by name. She does not want to marry Duryodhan, but he still forcibly marries her. So that's how they view generally. So their acts are right in line with their character all through, I think.
So basically, to summarize, I think when Radha and Adhirath adopted Karn, they basically gave him life as any other parents would have. They did not treat him with any indifference or anything, and they tried to give him the best of education. In that process, probably the sacrifice they made, they also probably alienated their son from them, or whatever you call it. Because the character, the way Adhirath and Radha are described, Karn is nothing like them.
Exactly.
Karn is very different. Karn is very ambitious, trying to achieve bigger things than he did. While if you look at Adhirath, he is not he does not want to take over the kingdom from his brother, or that kind of ambitions are not mentioned for him. So I think these ambitions and this all ego, etc., that came in after he would have come to Hastinapur and would have seen that, okay, this is the bigger kingdom. बड़े शहर में आए, like छोटे गांव का आदमी मेट्रो में आ जाता है तो he wants bigger things in life, right? कि आप आ गए यहाँ से मतलब मुंबई, जैसे मैं मुसाफा में पैदा हुआ, फिर मुंबई गया, तो my ambitions grew, right? If I had stayed in a small village, I would have had smaller ambitions.
Correct.
So that could have been the case, and because he did not have the Radha to be with him all the time or to guide him, he basically kept driving his own path, and that is why he was not listening to anybody else's advice also. Because as a kid also, he probably was not living with his mother to give him advice or to guide him in the right direction. So that could be a thing. But as we are saying, these are forgotten characters. That means we don't see much about them in the traditional modern retellings or the TV serials and all.
But
And when we see a lot about them, we see a lot of fictionalized, distorted version
Yeah.
in Suryaputra Karn and the serials like those. So we are obviously not talking about them. We are talking about the sane stuff because B.R. Chopra's Mahabharata, all said and done, was yet on the sane plane. But Suryaputra Karn goes on another multiverse of madness, and they actually
exactly.
don't want anything to do with Mahabharata.
But in see
So
Exactly.
in Vayang, right? In the Indonesian version of Mahabharata, Adhirat and Radha are there as small characters. They basically are shown as nice, kind, royal princess. He's the royal prince. And Adhirat is married to a royal princess. Radha is member. See, they are Jarasan's cousins. They are of the
Okay.
same Magadha. They are all Kurus actually. Adhirath is actually a Kuru also because the Magad side, Bhadrat, everybody, they were all Kurus. Uparicharan Vasu was Ajmer's descendant. So they were all Kurus. And in Vyang, they basically advise him. They have an older son whose name is
Oh,
Chitrasen. He keeps on advising Karn. So here they have actually another character they had added who's an older brother to Karn, but he still doesn't listen to him. And again, Chitrasen, like in all the other brothers, real sons of Radha, they die in the battle. They in Indonesian version, see, when Kunti puts the child into the river, it's not Kunti puts the child into the river. That all basically probably came up a little later. As a She asked her foster brother, Are Adimangal, and Adi Mangal goes and finds the parents, and he finds that they are doing a tapasya because they want to have another son. So he floats the child past them, and that's when
oh,
Adhira and
it
Radha
was
actually
planned.
find
It was
a
planned rather
deliberate
than.
planned. Yes,
accident.
he
Yeah.
actually chooses that. He actually
So
chooses that, and then he stays with them throughout their life. And on the last day of his life, with the last day of Karn, that's when there are certain set of events happen, and Karn ends up killing his own like uncle who had been there all his life. So they say na, like Vinash Kale Vipreet Buddhi. So everything went wrong for him on that day. So there again, Arya Adimangal is a character who's continuously telling him. So it's as if Karn didn't know that he was Pandav's brother. He knew it even before. In Vyang, it is very clear he knew it even before the Lakshagrai. He's the one who
Hmm.
shoots the arrow which
so
starts the fire.
Oh, okay.
so thanks, Pranshu. This is the advantage of having Pranshu on these conversations.
Yeah.
We also get to learn something new from various other editions of Mahabharata, and this was clearly new information for me at least. I'm not sure if Bharti knew about
No, no,
this
I
or
also
not.
didn't know.
So, anyways, moving on to another character. By the way, if any of you follow Pranshu on any of the social media, you would see that his handle is Yudhamanyu Panchal, and there he will tell the story, and that is why, yes, so he has written the story of Yudhamanyu in the Unsung Valor anthology also, and that is why we have chosen Pranshu to talk about these two characters, Yudhamanyu and Uttamoja. And I am sure most of you would not have heard this name. I mean, if you have not read Unsung Valor, you would have definitely not heard these names without reading the unabridged version of Mahabharata, because none of the modern retellings have actually mentioned these characters anywhere.
No, so I should actually correct that. So, of course, my grandmother actually, grandfather had the Bharat Press edition. My my great grandfather father basically edited one of the Gita Press Mahabharata editions. So we had Mahabharata at home, and my grandfather used to tell it to me. I was about 6 7 years of age, and he used to read to me from Shanti Parv and Anushasan Parv. So actually, till the age of like 8, 9, 10, I thought Mahabharata was mostly about teaching only. I mean, there was a backstory, there was a war, but he told me he used to teach me that, and he passed away then. So
So,
that's when I found the rest. But
so Pranshu, before you go any further, let me ask you one very important question for my audience. You said that while growing up, you had Mahabharat at home. Now, my question to you is, how is your relationship with your cousins?
Pretty good,
Did
actually.
having Mahabharata at home cause any
Yeah.
wars in your family?
No,
We
actually,
want practical examples. We don't want to go by
We will
I'll
not
give you a
folklore.
very
believe.
practical example. See, my chacha's son is the only going to be the only Saxena. I mean, I hope my daughter convinces her husband to take the name Saxena. See, we have all daughters, so literally कहते हैं ना, the name Saxena will pass on only through my uncle's
हस्तिनापुर का
son.
सिंहासन आपके अंकल के बेटे को मिलेगा.
So we have, but no, so the thing is ki, yeah, that is another. See, I think that is part of this stupid legend about कि अगर महाभारत घर में है तो लड़ाई होगी. ये महाभारत is such a big uh, uh, वॉल्यूम इंसाइक्लोपीडिया ऑफ नॉलेज. और ये कुछ लोग जो कंट्रोल करना चाहते हैं कि नॉलेज नहीं होनी चाहिए लोगों के पास, वो ऐसी धारणाएं फैलाते हैं. मुझे ये लगता है कि इसी से शुरू हुआ है ये, कि जिससे कि लोगों के पास वो ना हो. अगर आपके पास किताब है तो आप सब कुछ आंसर कर लोगे, और उस जमाने में तो किताबें ही नहीं होती.
प्रोपेगेंडा भी नहीं फैला पाएंगे ना लोग.
प्रोपेगेंडा भी नहीं फैला पाएंगे. प्रोपेगेंडा इज द मेन थिंग बेसिकली. आई थिंक ये धारणाएं जो हैं ये बहुत रिसेंट भी हुई हैं, होंगी. जस्ट एंड बिकॉज यू सी, अब मैं आपको 1850 में ले जाता हूँ. 1850 में ये धारणा नहीं होगी, क्योंकि 1850 में 1% ऑफ द पॉपुलेशन वाज लिटरेट. किताबें ही बहुत कम थी. पब्लिशिंग तो शुरू हुई 1851-52 के आसपास कलकत्ता में. वहां पे वो कहते हैं, गवर्नर जनरल ने बोला 3 ऑफिसर्स को जाके पता करो ये हिंदू धर्मशास्त्र कहाँ पे कैसे प्रिंट करने हैं. तो वो तीनों गए बाहर, जिनको जो भी पकड़ा, और उससे वो मनु संहिता उन्होंने इकट्ठा की थी. राइट. तो द पॉइंट इज कि इट वाज ड्यूरिंग दैट टाइम. तो उससे पहले ये धारणा तो होगी नहीं, घर में रखो नहीं, क्योंकि जब किताबें ही बहुत कम होती थी, और
पढ़ ही नहीं पाओगे तो फिर क्या रख के क्या करोगे,
और बाकी सब हैंड रिटन थी. सो हमारी फैमिली में एक 1846 की हैंड रिटन थी पड़ी हुई, बताते थे हमारे नाना. तो वो बेसिकली वो हैंड रिटन ही किताबें थी. तो उसके बाद जब पब्लिश होना शुरू हुई तो हमेशा रखे रहे थे. तो अच्छा, दूसरी चीज है, आई एम ए कायस्थ. तो हमारे यहाँ तो किताबें तो इट्स लाइक नेक्स्ट टू, इट्स दी, मूर्तियां कम होती हैं, किताबें ज्यादा होती हैं.
So kayaks like to preserve wealth of any kind.
मोर ऑफ लिखने ना. हम तो कालका देवी ना, इंक गॉडेस ऑफ इंक वर्शिप करते हैं.
चित्रगुप्त नहीं है आपके गॉड?
हाँ, वही चित्रगुप्त तो दद्दू हुए ना.
चलिए, एनीवेज लेट्स कम टू युधामन्यु एंड उत्तमौजा.
ये
उसका अलग सेशन करेंगे. अलग सेशन करेंगे.
नेपोटिज्म है वहां पे. वो यमराज के पास जाएंगे, वहां बोलेंगे दद्दू. हाँ जी, हेवन.
हाँ, तो कायस्थ लोग नरक नहीं जाते हैं, वो सीधे स्वर्ग जाते हैं, क्योंकि चित्रगुप्त से सेटिंग है उनकी.
एग्जैक्टली.
चलो, लेट्स कम टू युधामन्यु एंड उत्तमौजा.
So I read राजगोपालाचारी. So राजगोपालाचारी ने बड़ी अच्छी इंग्लिश में लिखी थी. So that's a very concise version, but it tells you the whole story. He doesn't do any namak mirch or anything. I have heard people review Rajgopalachari in recent times, last year only, somebody, and say, he didn't add anything of his own. उस जमाने में people didn't know the story of Mahabharata. वो add करके क्या करेंगे? राजगोपालाचारी, द्विवेदी प्रसाद जिन्होंने हिंदी में लिखी थी, के एम मुंशी जिन्होंने गुजराती में लिखी थी, वो जब प्रस्तुत कर रहे थे, they were presenting as is, because people didn't even know as is at that point in time, common people. So राजगोपालाचारी की नेक्स्ट जो थी, वो एक कमला सुब्रमण्यम ने बड़ी अच्छी एक्सपैंडेड वर्जन ऑन राजगोपालाचारी लिखी. उन्होंने दक्षिणात्य काफी यूज किया. उसमें आई एनकाउंटर्ड दीज कैरेक्टर्स, युधामन्यु and उत्तमौजा, in the war especially. So they were there with Arjun from the beginning to the end. That's where Arjun and Krishan stopped being a team of 2. They became a team of suddenly 4.
Yes.
So that's where you get an idea that it was always a team which is working together. And so Yudhamanyu Utmauja came into a very big focus at that point in time. That's how I basically got interested in them. They were and they were not royal sons. See, they are called sons of Drupad in places, but they were not really mentioned.
Panchal warriors here.
Panchal warriors. See, there were 14 sons of Drupad mentioned in Mahabharata. जब द्रौपदी का स्वयंवर हुआ था, उसमें 7 नाम थे. उस समय 7 भाई थे. धृष्टद्युम्न, शिखंडी, सुमित्र, प्रियदर्शन, चित्रकेतु, सुकेतु और ध्वजकेतु। उन 7 में सुमित्र और प्रियदर्शन उस दिन जब जब अर्जुन जीते थे तो बाकी सब लोग लड़े थे इनसे आके, कर्ण वगैरह। तो सुमित्र और प्रियदर्शन अनआर्म्ड थे बिकॉज उनकी बहन की शादी है। They were unarmed and they were killed there. The 2 brothers of Draupadi died that day.
On the day of Swayamvar.
On the day of Swayamvar. So दक्षिणात्य में स्पेशली ये चीज का काफी हुआ है बेसिकली। एंड व्यंग में भी, इंडोनेशियन उसमें भी, evening of that day there was basically tears, everybody they did the rituals of cremation and everything. And after that only Arjun and Bhim depart with Draupadi to Kunti, and then the rest of the story takes on from there.
Another reason why Draupadi would not be in love with Karna at all.
हमारे जो वर्जन हम पढ़ते हैं उसमें तो छोटा सा ही है, 2 श्लोक में निपटा दिया है कि कौशल्य और भीम का आमना सामना हुआ और कर्ण और अर्जुन का आमना सामना हुआ।
हाँ, पर दक्षिणात्य में इट्स मोर डिटेल्ड। दक्षिणात्य में तो फुल बैटल है, वो शल्य के संग बैटल, वो सब जो सबके संग जो बैटल है तो उसमें वो सब डिटेल में है। उसमें जयद्रथ बेसिकली किल्स सुमित्र एंड कर्ण किल्स प्रियदर्शन। सो अगेन द थिंग इज कि उसके ब्रदर को मारा है।
That's what I was saying. No reason why Draupadi would ever love Karna.
Exactly.
So yeah.
इस स्टोरी को शिवाजी सावंत न्यू।
नहीं, फेमिनिस्ट लोग ये बोल सकते हैं कि द्रौपदी के ब्रदर उसको टॉर्मेंट करते थे तो उसको मारा कि हाँ कि मतलब डाउन विद पैट्रियार्की, मेरे भाई को मारा, वेरी गुड।
नहीं, शिवाजी सावंत न्यू अबाउट इट। शिवाजी सावंत चेंज द स्टोरी। शिवाजी सावंत की स्टोरी में कर्ण का एक बेटा जो था 16 साल का, वो मारा गया।
उसमें से आता है वो स्टोरी।
हाँ, शिवाजी सावंत चेंजेस द पर्सन। तो जो प्रियदर्शन जो कर्ण ने मारा था, he might be a 16-year-old। वो मुझे दक्षिणात्य में उतनी डिटेल नहीं दी, एज नहीं दी हुई है कुछ। So but Shivaji Savant changes the story completely. He makes that person as the son of Karna who dies.
उल्टा कर दिया एक्चुअली, 180 डिग्री टर्न हो गया ना ये तो।
Exactly
180 डिग्री।
वो आपको विलन को हीरो बनाना है तो आप ऐसे ये सब करोगे।
So anyways, जब coming back, hold, coming back
quickly. So उसके बाद we find the name of Satyajit, Mahamatra of Panchal, the eighth son of. So and Satyajit is very important later on because Arjun asked Satyajit, you take care of Yudhishthira today. I'm going to fight Trigat 12th day.
Correct.
Then we find during the battles when they died, we find 4 more: Veer Ketu, Sudhanva, Chitavarma, and Chitrath. And then finally Surath and Shatrunjay. So we have all the 14 sons of Drupad mentioned. During the time when the army is marching, they tell 10 sons of Drupad are marching with him in Lakshani, and Dhishdaman and Shikhandi are marching separately. So we have all the 14 sons mentioned here. But 12 sons who are there in the war, 2 who have died already, right? So Yudhamanyu and Utmaja are not there as his sons, but they were officers. We know Utmaja was a Sanjay. He's called a Sanjay because they were these 5, Somak, Sanjay, and all these. They were the tribes of Panchal. So Utmaja was a Sanjay, and now I'll tell you another very important point which in MBTN Madhacharya brings out, which is there in Dakshinatya also. There is a scholar and a warrior, a scholar avatar and a warrior avatar. Pal, the Rig Ved, is avatar of Shesh. The warrior avatar is Balram. The avatar of Jamini is born as Jamini, and in the sun is Arjun, the scholar and the warrior. Sumantu, the जो व्यास के शिष्य हैं ना सारे एक एक करके, Sumantu is the scholar, and Satyaki, Garud avatar. Satyaki is the warrior. And then we come Vashampayan, the Mahabharata Acharya, the one who tells the story, the Avesh of Brahma. He's a scholar. The warrior is Yudhamanyu. So Yudhamanyu is not just the bodyguard. Suddenly he comes across as a very big character. And in MBTN, he is supposed to be a rebirth of Vishwavasu, one of the 8 Gandharvas. And Utmoja is the rebirth of Paravasu. Vishwavasu is of the 8. Of the 8 Gandharvas. So that's a
Okay.
very
No, Paravasu and Visvasu would be Vasus only, no?
No, they are Gandhars. So there were 8 Gandhars. So in मैंने लिस्ट बनाई थी हाँ
ही हुआ क्या हा
हाहा
हा
हूहू
हु
धृतराष्ट्र तुम्बुरु चित्ररथ विश्वावसु परावसु विद्याधर.
हम्म
So those 8 of them. So Virat, Drupad, Dhritarashtra, Sanjay, Janamjay, Yudhamanyu, Utmoja, and Ajgar, Nahush.
नहुष
Yeah. So basically, but he's there in Ramayana also. Vishwavasu in Ramayana is Kabandh. So he gets the curse.
जिसको राम लक्ष्मण उसको रिलीव करते हैं
So
उनके
Vishwavasu is very, very big right across
तुम्बुरु भी है
Purans and
दोनों
everything.
जगह
He gets in all the Purans. He's got a lot of daughters. Shakuntala's sister is actually his daughter. So like there's this, Menka has a daughter from Vishwamitra, Shakuntala, and she has a daughter from Dwara, from Vishwavasu. From Dwara and Ruru are the famous. So anyway, let's get back to Yudhamanyu Utmoja. From very beginning, they come across as Yudhamanyu is coming across as a very big character, but they say it's very hidden. He comes across and he is basically the bodyguard of Arjun. In the battles he fights, and one of the biggest things is, the Duryodhana has worn that armor, that Shiv Kavach,
yes,
and then Arjun first defeats him. Then he runs away because Arjun hits those small arrows which hits him beneath the fingers. Yeah. So he comes back and he fights, and Yudhamanyu defeats him. So that's one of the battles. So Sai Sarupa agreed to me writing that story using that as the battle, as one of because one of our conditions was that it has to be a victorious battle. So Yudhamanyu defeated, and in the war basically he comes across on the 17th day he stops Ashwathama. When Karna and Arjuna are fighting, he's the guy who's stopping Ashwathama. All throughout you will see this characters. Arjun shoots an arrow about to kill somebody. Ashwathama shoots an arrow from somewhere else and blocks it. So Ashwathama, so people don't understand the role of Ashwathama a lot. He's a very good defender. And that's what I'm saying. फुटबॉल में ना वो स्ट्राइकर होता है, सब मेसी वेसी और मापे वगैरह सब कहते हैं, but it's the actually defenders who do a lot. And Ashwathama played a very important role that way. And Yudhamanyu stops Ashwathama on the 17th day from getting anywhere near Karna. So
I was telling today I was taking a session with a bunch of kids and some members of our housing society. So there I was talking about Dronacharya and the events in the ashram. So I started with this ki Dronacharya wanted Ashwathama to be the best archer in the world. Then he discovers Arjun and figures out nahi ye bachcha will be better than him. So if you put it that way, among Dronacharya's student, Ashwathama would be the second best student of his. After Arjun.
Yes. He had the best opportunity.
So,
yes.
So that's what I'm saying. And if you even look at it in terms of the knowledge of weapons, Ashwathama was second to Arjun only.
Performance-wise also, he was
so that
actually.
Is what I'm saying.
Beam might have defeated.
No, defeating. See, skill is a different thing. Then it comes the differentiation between skill and knowledge, right?
Oh yes.
Because skill आप practice वगैरह से और भी चीजों से skill develop करते हो. But in terms of जो आपने स्कूल में पढ़ा, मतलब वो गोल्ड मेडल सिल्वर मेडल मिल गया उनको, उसके बाद आके कॉर्पोरेट करियर में भीम डिड बेटर. That way. I'm saying कि अगर अश्वत्थामा मतलब अर्जुन का काउंटर इनके पास अश्वत्थामा ही था मेजर. Right, on the Gaurav side, because he was probably the second best silver medalist of Dronacharya.
That is also that they didn't realize what the right counter is. They always thought of Karna as a counter to
वो
Arjun.
उनको समझ नहीं आया. But अगर objectively अगर हम देखें तो द्रोण की एकेडमी से जो ग्रेजुएट हुए थे तो गोल्ड मेडलिस्ट was Arjun, silver medalist was Ashwathama.
Actually, no. So there's a very close friend of Bhim, Neel, king of Anup.
Yes.
Neel, the king of Anup, is also a Sooth. तो वो जो सूत पुत्र का जो स्टोरी होता है ना, वो it doesn't fly anyway because best friend of Bhim is another Sooth putra called Neel.
And this Neel was also present in Draupadi's Swayamvar.
Yes, and Neel came to the war, and Neel and Ashwathama, it is mentioned there on the 12th day, Neel and Ashwathama were rivals in the school. And Neel used to defeat Ashwathama in the school. So Ashwathama kills him in the battlefield. he takes revenge. So as you're saying, a silver medalist went to Ashwatthama may not be true. See, they are these hidden characters. Neil, the king of Anup, who is basically, there as an ally of Pandavas from the very beginning. He is ally before even they were like, they were princes. So he's mentioned as a very close friend of Bhim and a rival to Ashwatthama.
So in terms of Yudhamanyu and Uttamoja, they were the wheel guards of Arjun, because Arjun was the key warrior. So
Multiplied his
left, right,
strength. And
exactly.
So Arjun
So
was
left flank, right flank was
exactly.
protected by Yudhamanyu and Uttamoja. And as Pranshu mentioned, if Arjun was fighting up front, then from left and right he was protected by these two warriors, and that is why probably Arjun was very confident कि मैं सीधे लड़ता हूँ, बगल में तो कोई टेंशन वाली बात नहीं है, इधर उधर ये लोग हैं दोनों. And the very fact that these two guys survived the war, I mean, till the Ashwatthama attacked in the camp and killed them, right? It shows two things to me, at least. One, that Arjun was very strong, so he would have also, so they would have also been, while they were protecting Arjun, Arjun would have also
Arjun
been
is taking
protecting
risks.
them.
Arjun is
Exactly. They are
wading
allowing
into
Arjun
that, and
to
they're
take
with
bigger
him.
risks.
So Arjun is
So
able
when,
to take some of those risks because they're with him. See,
so
Arjun
I
is
think
also
on 14th day their role would have been the most important, because on 14th day,
they broke Chakravyuh. On 14th day, they broke Chakravyuh also, which only one person could do it the day before, Abhimanyu. Next day, 5 of them broke Chakravyuh. So
so my reading is that when Arjun went to fight Samsaptaks also, these two would have gone with Arjun, because they are
that's
not mentioned fighting in the Chakravyuh or around Abhimanyu in any way.
That's what I'm saying. They stuck with Arjun most of the time. Other than there were some specific places where they basically so there is this discussion on day 17th where the 5 Dishduman, Shikhandi, Janamjay, son of Durmukh, another Panchal warrior, and these two Yudhamanyu, Utmaja, these 5 along with the 5 Draupades, these 10 combined together and they fought together. Like this is chapter 86, Karn Parv, Shlok 17 to 24. So they were fighting together like this. So, but most of the time they were with Arjun. So not necessarily they were always with Arjun, but again fighting. And then हमारे जो पहले दो कैरेक्टर्स है अधिरथ और राधा, इनका उनसे भी कनेक्शन है. युधामन्यु killed son of Radha, Chitrasen, and Utmoja killed son of Karn, grandson of Radha, सुषेण. So जो
ये सुषेण और कर्ण के बेटों और ग्रैंडसन के मारने में बड़ा ही कंफ्यूजन है. मतलब कर्ण के बेटे जो हैं, एक ही नाम के बेटे 3-4 बार मरे हैं. किसी को युधामन्यु ने मारा, उसी आदमी को फिर सहदेव भी मार देते हैं जाके, उसी आदमी को फिर
वो ये होता है कि जब कॉपी किया होगा ना. सी बेसिकली हमारे यहाँ बिकॉज ऑफ ह्यूमिडिटी इन इंडियन क्लाइमेट, every 500 to 700 years you need to make copies again, and copies might make an error. जहाँ पे वो they can't read something, they might have just, जो विराट का जो भाई है ना शतानीक, वो 5 बार मरा है.
हाँ वही बोल रहा हूँ.
वो तो ज़ॉम्बी है
बार बार मरते. उसको भीष्म ने भी मारा, उसको द्रोण ने, हर कमांडर उसको मार देता.
शल्य ने भी मारा, कर्ण ने भी मारा, वो वापस आ जाता था. बट नो, बेसिकली वो विराट का एक भाई मर गया तो उन्होंने नाम रख दिया शतानिक. बट वही है कि अदर प्लेसेस नॉट. सी आई विल टेल यू अनदर पॉइंट इज, सो देयर इज 2 sons of शिखंडी मेंशन्ड, बट इन भारत प्रेस एडिशन एंड आपको केएमजी देखेंगे तो दोनों जगह उनका नाम शत्रदेव है. बट थैंकफुली देयर अदर एडिशंस अवेलेबल. तो उसमें एक और जगह ऋक्षदेव है. ऋक्षदेव एंड शत्रदेव आर वेरी सिमिलर राइटिंग. आप जब संस्कृत में लिखेंगे ना तो वो नाम बिल्कुल वो जरा सा वो है. तो कॉपिस्ट जो एरर कर देगा तो वो शत्रदेव लिख देगा 2 बार. तो वो तो चीजें हैं. तो शतानीक के नाम शतानीक वो जो नाम जो है, दैट कुड बी वेरी सत्यनीक, दे कुड बी वेरी सिमिलर. बट वही है कि वो जो विराट का ब्रदर है वो बेचारा 5 बार मरा. वो बेसिकली वो 5 ही मरे. वही सुषेण वगैरह जो हैं उस तरीके से चित्रसेन और सुषेण जो नाम है वो बहुत ही इजी टू पुट इन. सो जब कॉपीज जब वो मिस्टेक करता होगा तो ही वुड जस्ट पुट इन दैट, एंड दैट्स वेयर बेसिकली दिस हैपेंस. क्योंकि
और they all got कवच कुंडल from Amazon in wholesale. They're wearing it. ऐसा कुछ हो सकता है.
So, anyways, moving this discussion forward, now it is my turn to talk about
वो
one forward.
एक इंटरेस्टिंग बात बताता हूँ आपको।
हाँ,
एक
सॉरी, या
हाँ, विश्वावसु से एक कहानी आती है ना, गालव ऋतध्वज के पास आते हैं ना, जब धुंधुमार को मारते हैं, फिर पाताल केतु मदलसा को उठा के ले जाता है, तो गालव जो रहते हैं वो विश्वावसु से बोलते हैं, तो विश्वावसु एक घोड़ा देते हैं जो ऋतध्वज यूज करते हैं, उससे वो पाताल में जाते हैं, वो पाताल केतु को मार के मदलसा को बचा के लेके आते हैं। वो घोड़ा 12th day पे Yudhamanyu had that horse. Yudhamanyu is supposed to be Vishwavasu. So that horse comes back there. So this is a very interesting connect to the Puranic story from of Galav and Ritudhwaj, that horse is there, that divine horse is there, and with Yudhamanyu. So he has that.
So दर्शकों को बता देते हैं कि पाताल केतु और मदालसा की कहानी हमारे ऐप पे मिल जाएगी आपको। उसमें हालांकि युधामन्यु नहीं है, बट पाताल केतु और मदलसा के बारे में मदलसा के बारे में आपको कहानी मिल जाएगी हमारे ऐप में। ऐसी इंटरेस्टिंग कहानियां जो ढूंढ के हम लोगों ने निकाली हैं, जो कई लोगों को पता नहीं होंगी, तो हमारा ऐप डाउनलोड करके आप वहां पे देख सकते हैं। और उसमें से कुछ ऐसे फॉरगॉटन वॉरियर्स की भी कहानियां हैं, जैसे सात्यकी पे भी हमने एक कहानी करी है, उसमें मतलब लॉन्ग स्टोरी भी करी है, भूरी श्रवा पे भी है स्टोरी, बब्रुवाहन पे भी है, जिनके बारे में बहुत लोगों को नहीं पता होगा। बट रिसेंटली मेरा फेवरेट कैरेक्टर महाभारत से, जिसको लोग भूल चुके हैं, वो है धौम्य। और उसका रीजन ये है कि जैसे जैसे मैं महाभारत में घुसता जा रहा हूँ, जैसे जैसे आई एम ग्रोइंग एज अ पेरेंट, I am realizing something that is very important from Mahabharata perspective, which is missing in today's time, and I think we are missing Dharma. And why I am saying so, I will elaborate on it. So who was Dharma to begin with? जब पांडव लोग लाक्षागृह से जान बचा के भागे, तो उसके बाद अर्जुन की मुलाकात होती है गंधर्व चित्ररथ अंगारपर्ण से, और उनसे अर्जुन की थोड़ी झड़प होती है। वो थोड़ा एरोगेंस में, उनको पता नहीं होता अर्जुन कौन है, तो थोड़ा एरोगेंस में झाड़ देते हैं अर्जुन को गुस्सा आ जाता है, और फिर अर्जुन मतलब हिंदी में बोले तो ऐसी की तैसी कर देते हैं अंगारपर्ण की। तो अंगारपर्ण उनको बोलते हैं कि चलो अभी दोस्त बन जाते हैं, जिसको हरा नहीं पाओ उसका दोस्त बन जाओ। ये बहुत ही क्लियर कट वॉर स्ट्रेटजी होती है। तो
उसका नाम अंगारपर्ण तब पड़ गया था ना, हार गया वो, उसका रथ जल गया था ना
रथ जला। तो बेसिकली आग्नेयास्त्र यूज करके अर्जुन चित्ररथ का रथ जला देते हैं, और उसके बाद चित्ररथ अर्जुन को बोलते हैं कि हम आपको अपनी विद्या सिखा देते हैं, जिससे कि आप भी गंधर्वों जैसे, आपको चाक्षुषी विद्या, जिससे
जो विश्वावसु ने सिखाई थी, जो विश्वावसु ने चित्ररथ को सिखाई थी।
तो अर्जुन मना कर देते हैं। अर्जुन बोलते हैं भाई मैं चैरिटी नहीं लेता, इसके बदले में कुछ चाहिए हो तो बताओ, तो हम मतलब बैलेंस कर लेते हैं, ऐसा चैरिटी वाली विद्या काम नहीं आती। तो उसके बाद दोस्ती हो जाती है उन दोनों की, और वो फिर बोलते हैं कि भाई फलानी जगह पे एक ऋषि हैं, धौम्य नाम है उनका, उनको अपना पुरोहित बनाइए आप। और किसी भी राजा के पास एक पुरोहित होना बहुत आवश्यक है। पुरोहित के बिना राजा मतलब अधर्म की डायरेक्शन में बढ़ सकता है, क्योंकि जो आपका पुरोहित है वो आपके धर्म कर्म में, धार्मिक कार्यों में आपकी सहायता करेगा और आपको धर्म की दिशा दिखाएगा एक तरीके से। और इंटरेस्टिंगली जब मैं इसको और सोचता हूं, तो मुझे लगता है दुर्योधन का पुरोहित कौन था?
अरे वो क्या नाम है, चारवाक।
तो चरवाक का इतना डिटेल में मेंशन नहीं मिलता है एक्चुअली महाभारत में, बिकॉज आई एम अज्यूमिंग दुर्योधन डिड नॉट गिव हिम इनफ इंपॉर्टेंस फॉर हिम टू likewise that his wife also is not mentioned by name. Maybe Duryodhan did not give enough importance to her also. So please feminist people, don't look at Duryodhan as a role model. So the point I am trying to make is that Dhaumya was the person who was the guiding light for Yudhishthir, and Dhaumya's character comes into the picture right after Varanavat episode, and then he is there with Yudhishthir throughout his journey, right till the end of Yudhishthir. So Dhaumya has a very prominent presence in Mahabharata. The only 1 year when Pandavas lived in Agyatwas was the period when Dhaumya was not around them. Other than that, जैसे हम लोग को टीवी सीरियल में दिखाया जाता है कि युधिष्ठिर, भीम, अर्जुन, नकुल, सहदेव और द्रौपदी, ये 6 लोग वनवास में जा रहे हैं और ये 6 लोग
150 से ऊपर लोग थे।
वो बहुत गलत है, क्योंकि अगर ये 6 लोग होते तो उनको अक्षय पात्र की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती, 6 लोग का खाना भीम बना सकता था। एंड दैट कम्स टू अनदर पॉइंट, महाभारत में द्रौपदी के खाना बनाने का मेंशन नहीं है, भीम के खाना बनाने का मेंशन है। नल के खाना बनाने का मेंशन है, दमयंती के खाना बनाने का मेंशन नहीं है। तो महाभारत में महिलाओं की ड्यूटी नहीं होती थी खाना बनाना, तो पुरुषों की होती थी। जस्ट अ मैसेज टू ऑल द अदर्स हु आर वाचिंग।
युधिष्ठिर भी एक्चुअली द मिनट अक्षय पात्र कम्स, युधिष्ठिर का भी मेंशन है खाना बनाते।
वो मैंने वो एक जो स्टोरी लिखी, वो जो कश्मीर के लिए उन्होंने मांगी थी ना स्टोरी, तो उसमें इन्हें ये कहा था कि युधिष्ठिर वो होते थे कि मैंने ये स्टोरी में डाल दिया कि युधिष्ठिर से पूछते हैं कि आप कैसे डिसाइड करते हैं शाम का खाना कौन बनाएगा। मैंने बोला जो भी पहले आता है मेरे को बोलता कि किसकी टर्न है खाने की, मैं बोलता हूँ तुम्हारी टर्न है। तो द्रौपदी पूछती है और कोई नहीं पूछेगा, अगर किसी ने नहीं पूछा मेरे को बनाना पड़ेगा।
लेकिन द्रौपदी को नहीं बोलूंगा, ये देखा पुराने जमाने में हस्बैंड अपनी वाइफ को नहीं बोलते थे कि जाओ खाना बनाओ किचन में। 5 भाई तो वो 5 टर्न ले लेके बना लेंगे, लेकिन पत्नी को नहीं बोलेंगे। वेरी गुड पीपल, एवरीबॉडी।
तभी तो वो धोए नहीं थे बर्तन, तभी तो धोए नहीं थे वो पति रखते थे ना, तो धोए नहीं थे बर्तन। द्रौपदी अगर चौका संभाल रही होती तो वो धो के रख देती, वो दाना नहीं मिलता किशन को।
वो दाना नहीं बचा होता, एग्जैक्टली। तो उस दिन हो सकता है भीम खा पी के सो गए होंगे, तो उसके बर्तन बाद में धोऊंगा और इसलिए दुर्वासा के श्राप से बच गए हो। बट कमिंग टू दिस, धौम्य वाज कांस्टेंट प्रेजेंस इन युधिष्ठिर्स लाइफ, एंड चाहे वो मार्कंडेय के आश्रम में रह रहे हो, चाहे वो कहीं भी रह रहे हो, धौम्य ऑलवेज अकम्पनीड देम। और धौम्य का मेंशन जगह जगह आता है कि जब युधिष्ठिर का राज्याभिषेक हो रहा है तो बोल रहे हैं कि धौम्य ने उनको माला पहनाई, धौम्य ने रिचुअल्स किए। तो राजसूय यज्ञ हो या अश्वमेध यज्ञ हो, धौम्य ही प्रिसाइड कर रहे होते हैं उसमें। और this despite having knowledgeable people like Kripacharya and all around them, they chose Dhaumya as their priest, and that I think is something that is missing in today's culture, today's environment. We have leaders, we have kings, but we don't have Dhaumya in our life, in our modern environment. So Narendra Modi का धौम्य कौन है, I don't know. And likewise, आप कहीं भी किसी भी सेटअप में देख लो, हालांकि जैसे आजकल बड़ा कॉन्सेप्ट चला है कि यू हैव दीज मेंटर्स और दीज कोचेस एंड ऑल दैट, जो वेस्टर्न वर्ल्ड अडॉप्ट कर रहा है। यू हैव दिस बुक कॉल्ड $1 billion Coach, which talks about a coach who was a coach and mentor to many of these founders like Steve Jobs and your Bill Gates, etc. So the point I am trying to make is this, नाम आप चाहे उसको कोच बोल लें, मेंटर बोल लें, प्रीस्ट बोल लें, पुरोहित बोल लें, उसका इंपॉर्टेंस बहुत ज्यादा है। और महाभारत में धौम्य का कैरेक्टर इसीलिए है। और सबसे बड़ी समस्या ये है कि जब मॉडर्न लोग कहानियां सुना रहे थे, उन्होंने भी इस कैरेक्टर को इतना इम्पोर्टेंट नहीं समझा।
नहीं, एक्चुअली हाँ, आई विल करेक्ट इट। सो गुजराती लिटरेचर में देयर इज अ जेंटलमैन कॉल्ड दार्शनिक, एंड ही इज रिटन अ लॉट ऑफ वेरी गुड स्टोरीज, retellings Mahabharata se leke, and he has written one on Dhaumya and Takshak, because in one of the local Purans, there local Sthal Purans, so Takshak is a son-in-law of Dhaumya. वो व्याघ्रपद, so Dhaumya is a व्याघ्रपदी Brahman. So जब Yudhishthir goes into to Virat, and he says truthfully, my name is Kanka, I am a Vyagrapadi Brahmin, because as a disciple of Dhaumya, he is part of that Guru Shishya Shankla, so he can claim to be a Vyagrapadi. So he's not lying there also. So that's another. And the other thing is, he has an older brother, Asit Deval, who is one of the disciples of Ved Vyas. So, but Pandavas didn't choose the older brother. They chose the younger brother. Mainly
एडवाइस भी उनको यंगर ब्रदर की ही दी गई थी। बाय द वे, चित्ररथ से धौम्य को आप बनाइए प्रीस्ट, कि देवल ऋषि के भाई धौम्य ऋषि वहां पर तपस्या कर रहे हैं, आप उनके पास जाइए, उनको बनाइए अपना प्रीस्ट। तो दे इंटेंडेड टू हायर धौम्य एज प्रीस्ट, नॉट देवल एनीवेज।
धौम्य वाज नॉट जस्ट नॉर्मल प्रीस्ट। वो जयद्रथ अपहरण वाले एपिसोड में धौम्य एक्चुअली शोस हिज मेटल एज अ courageous guy also, because he actually goes somewhere along with Jayadratha, then he comes back while Jayadratha is kidnapping Draupadi along with one giant army and all, he's not easily phased. So he goes along with them, then he comes back and recounts the whole thing properly. कि ऐसे direction में गए, you go
He
this
was
way.
the one
He
who
becomes
tells
an advisor
Yudhishthir.
practically.
So he was the one who tells Yudhishthir कि कहाँ गए कौन गए, तभी तो वो भीम और
Exactly.
अर्जुन को भेजते हैं उनके
Yeah.
पीछे. So that's what I'm saying कि धौम्य was always there. In fact, जो तीर्थ यात्रा का आइडिया आता है युधिष्ठिर को, that was धौम्य who basically takes him through all these places. जहाँ पे युधिष्ठिर अपना एक एक दो दो जैसे गंधमादन वगैरह वो पूरा जर्नी पे जाते हैं, तो it was धौम्य who helped who basically advises them, takes them to places,
He had
tells them
medical
stories.
knowledge. He had medical
Yeah.
knowledge. He had astronomical knowledge. 2-3 चीजें और वो आती हैं during
शास्त्रों
the.
का नॉलेज तो है ही, मतलब वो तो गिवन है, तो
But
वेदों का नॉलेज तो
astronomical
है ही.
and medical also comes out in the stories.
और
in
युद्ध
Mahabharata.
के बाद जब युधिष्ठिर भीष्म से मिलने जाते हैं, तब भी धौम्य उनके साथ हैं. तो जो भीष्म शांति पर्व में और अनुशासन पर्व में सारा ज्ञान दे रहे हैं, धौम्य इज कॉन्स्टेंटली प्रेजेंट विद युधिष्ठिर along with his brothers and Shri Krishna. So all I'm trying to say,
that I think is also is that in Shanti Parv and Anushasan Parv, they sort of gathered all the stories together. There's a story they start very little, like in one Parv, they talk about Pulatse going to Bhisham and telling him something, but then that expansion is actually done in the in Shanti Parv. So that is another very interesting way, because if they had put all the stories together, there would have been a big gap between जब वो वन में जाते हैं and विराट पर्व, action. So there was so वो भी मुझे लगता है कि बड़ी अच्छी तरीके से व्यास ने ये ऑर्गेनाइज किए थे.
और उसमें क्या है, कोई आपको रिपीटिशन दिखेगा भी कि मतलब कोई पहले भी मेंशन हो चुकी हैं, बट उनको एलेबोरेट कर रहे हैं अभी बाद में. तो शांति पर्व में यू विल सी अ लॉट ऑफ स्टोरीज एलेबोरेटेड व्हिच हैव ऑलरेडी बीन नरेटेड बिफोर से. जैसे कणिक की कूटनीति में वो गीदड़ की स्टोरी है, वो भीष्म फिर से सुना रहे हैं. Then there is the story of 16 kings who died, जब नारद आके बताते हैं युधिष्ठिर को. Bhishma also repeats that later on in detail, so he goes into the detail of each and every stories. So basically the idea is that Shanti Parv is an important chapter and Dhaumya is present there also. युधिष्ठिर का जो अश्वमेध यज्ञ होता है, Dhaumya is the priest there as well. And after युधिष्ठिर departs there, I mean Dhaumya का उतना mention नहीं मिलता है, लेकिन up until Yudhishthir was there, right from the Varnavat till Yudhishthir departing to Himalayas, Dhaumya is the constant presence in their life, and it tells the importance of a person who can guide you in dharmic ways when you are ruling the kingdom. That is very important, and that is why I believe Dhaumya's character should not be forgotten, and it should be remembered. This is the person, this is the character who brings the dharmic element into your. Otherwise आपके जो धर्म अर्थ काम का जो आप परस्यूट करते हैं, आप अर्थ और काम के परस्यूट में ही लग जा रहे हैं आज की डेट में. धर्म के परस्यूट पे कोई ध्यान नहीं दे रहा है. वो इसलिए क्योंकि हम अपने धौम्य को भूल चुके हैं और हम सबको अपनी लाइफ में.
Dhaumya's presence is the one reason I think वो जो स्टोरी है ना कि जो भी तुम लेके आए हो पांचों सब आपस में बांट लो. धौम्य भी तो खाने वाले हैं.
Dhaumya is there also, but
तो मुझे यही लगता है कि वो बाद में इन्वेंट की गई है स्टोरी कि वो कुंती ने कहा है.
हाँ कि मतलब धौम्य को क्या मिलेगा, पांचों भाई बांट लो, छठा भूखा बैठा है.
एग्जैक्टली. तो धौम्य भी घबरा जाएंगे, ओ भाई क्या कह दिया.
So anyways, so moving on, next character that we want to talk about is not necessarily forgotten character, but Bharati wanted to talk about this character because she believes that the way this character is represented in modern times is not the way it is represented in Mahabharata text, and that is why the character mentioned in Mahabharata text has been forgotten and replaced with some other character in modern text. So let us talk about Sanjay. So Bharti, over to you.
Yeah. Actually, Sanjay has been replaced by a cricket commentator in modern times. जो कि पास में he just sits near Dhritarashtra and recounts the war, and there is no other role for the poor guy throughout the epic. But in actual Mahabharata, that is not so. And that becomes very evident because we see that right in the beginning of the Adiparva, the beginning of the Mahabharata, even in Anukramani Parva, we see that when when the actual main story starts, sort of, Dhritarashtra begins by addressing Sanjay, and he's kind of giving a justification. We see that Sanjay is the employee, Dhritarashtra is the employer, he's the king. But we still see that Sanjay's opinion matters a lot to Dhritarashtra. He doesn't want Sanjay to think ill of him. So he's addressing Sanjay there and he's kind of giving a justification. Kind of, it becomes very clear that he cares about what Sanjay thinks of him. And he says, I'll read out that part. Oh, he is hearing of the Pandavas being victorious and he's telling him, Oh Sanjaya, listen to all that I'm about to say. You will then find that I am not worthy of contempt. So he's very keen that Sanjay should not think that he is worthy of contempt. And then he goes on to do a little bit of maskamaring and says, You are learned in the sacred texts, intelligent, wise, and respected for being wise. So Sanjay is all of these things. But the thing is that Dhritarashtra actually cares a lot about what Sanjay thinks of him. Sanjay's opinions matter. And they matter because Sanjay is not a guy who will mince his words. So we see that after the Pandavas have left on exile, and as usual, Dhritarashtra, he'll facilitate some rubbish thing and then he'll get scared that it will come and bite him. The same way, Dhritarashtra is again terrified now that Pandavas have been exiled and in such horrible circumstances, Draupadi has been humiliated. Pandavas will definitely come back full of vengeance and they'll come and destroy my whole race. We are all going to die. He's lamenting. And Sanjay at this time very sarcastically comes and tells him again, he rips him to shreds for this whole thing being his fault. He has no problem actually telling Dhritarashtra the truth. And the thing is that Dhritarashtra tends to listen to Sanjay more than he listens to Vidur. He actually listens to the guy. And Sanjay tells him, this great enmity is the consequence of your great deed. There will be complete destruction of the entire world and all the relatives. So he doesn't mince any words at all. He just it's plain speak all the way through. But it's not like he is just one critique. He's also the support system. So after war, we see Yudhishthir lamenting that I've killed everybody, I want to die, I'm going to take sannyas, all these different things he said. And it is Shri Krishna who comes and advises him and gives him solace along with the brothers and everybody. In Dhritarashtra's case also, he wants to die after hearing of Duryodhana's death. And it is Sanjay who is his support system, playing that role that Krishna plays there, in a manner of comparison. He plays that role for Dhritarashtra, who has actually been left alone now. So it is Sanjay who consoles him that this was inevitable. So don't mourn for it. You don't have to die for it. You just have to carry, you have to move on and all that. It is not like Dhritarashtra alone trusts him like that. It is also Yudhishthir. We see at Rajasuya, Sanjay is given the task of welcoming the royal guests and all that. So coming back to Dhritarashtra. So Dhritarashtra also trusts, so Sanjay is a critic, he is a supporter. He is also somebody whose diplomacy Dhritarashtra trusts above all else. So after the exile, Pandavas are exiled, Dhritarashtra asks what will happen and all that. Vidur tells him, yeah, you made a total mess. The Pandavas will come back and they will be vengeful and they are going to kill all of you if you don't give the kingdom. Dhritarashtra doesn't want to hear that. So he says, no, you're always talking in favor of the Pandavas. I don't care whether you stay here or you go. And Vidur finally has enough of this tantrumy kid and says, Baba, I'll go to the Pandavas and take voluntary retirement. He goes off. Now Dhritarashtra immediately feels, no, I need Vidur by my side. This guy can't run his administration without Vidur. So he doesn't dare to go himself, but he knows that Sanjay is the diplomat who can talk Vidur into coming back. He sends Sanjay to call Vidur back, and Sanjay goes and convinces Vidur that no, Dhritarashtra was not thinking when he was talking. You please forgive him and you come back. And Sanjay's diplomacy we see at its best probably in the fact that he is the one Dhritarashtra sends as a messenger right before the war. So we have a whole Upaparva dedicated to Sanjay, which shows that he's not a very smart character. Sanjayana Parva. So in Sanjayana Parva, what happens is war prep is happening on one side. So Krishna and Arjun have already gone to Duryodhana and Arjun have gone to Krishna and Narayani Sena and unarmed Krishna division has happened. All that has happened. All that is happening on the side. On this side, the talks are also continuing. Dhritarashtra wants to have the cake also, have the cake bakery, everything actually. So he, yeah. So he says that I don't want to give the kingdom. I don't want to give even Indraprastha that belongs to the Pandav. I don't want to do that. But I don't want war either. But he can't, how will he? I mean, that's such a horribly unfair thing. Nobody's going to agree to it. But he still has such implicit faith in Sanjay's diplomacy skills that he thinks Sanjay can swing it. And he sends Sanjay to Upaplavya, that is Virat city where the Pandavas are staying. And he tells him that you tell them this, you convince Yudhishthira somehow that I will not give them Indraprastha, I will not give them anything, but they should still be affectionate towards me and they should not go to war. Sanjay actually takes this proposal and he goes also. And the very fact that he is not killed there, tells us how much the Pandavas respect him. And Yudhishthira in fact asks him that.
Yeah, when Sanjay
how do you think?
Yeah, in Sanjay and Parv, Yudhishthira mentions there was expedition Nakul and Sahadev did to Dantapur.
You remember all that.
And Sanjay went with them. So Sanjay actually had worked with the Pandav army also. Like he was an officer on Yudhishthira's court also. Kritvarma was in Pandav Sabha, and so he was known to both sides and trusted by both sides also very much.
Hey, Yudhishthira asked him all this. You realize how powerful we are. You realize what all we have done. You realize what has happened to us. And yet you bring this kind of proposal to us, which is very unfair. How do you expect that we will put up with this and just not take anything in return and not wage war also? So the mission doesn't succeed. But the fact is that Dhritarashtra trusts him so much. And Sanjay, until the end, after Dhritarashtra leaves also, almost 2 decades after the war, and Yudhishthira has been ruling. So almost 2 decades later, Dhritarashtra leaves Hastinapur, goes into the forest along with Gandhari and Kunti, but Sanjay goes along with him. And even at the end, there is a mention that when Dhritarashtra, Kunti and Gandhari are wandering through the forest, it is Sanjay who becomes a kind of assistant to them, making life easy for them.
They're blind and one has got a...
and he becomes basically the handyman for them. And Sanjay remains loyal until the very end. So finally we see Dhritarashtra's affection for him coming out when he says, there's a forest fire coming. We don't plan to make any attempt to escape it, but I want you to leave and find a safe place. So Dhritarashtra's affection for Sanjay finally comes out that way. Sanjay's death soon follows after that, right after Vidur's death, I believe. So Narad says, I saw him going into the Himalayas right after this. But basically, Sanjay remains this very, very loyal and very, very honest friend to Dhritarashtra. So he's not this employee who has been given a task. Yeah.
It takes a lot to be a loyal friend and advisor to somebody like Dhritarashtra.
Exactly.
Because he did not listen to their advice. Like he had the best of the advisors at his disposal in Vidur and Sanjay. And he always kept on making these horrible decisions.
So and Sanjay's sarcasm goes through. Sanjay's anger sometimes shines through.
Exactly. Sanjay, when you were mentioning Bharati about that conversation, whether he is being sarcastic. कि तुम्हारे ही महान कामों की वजह से ये हो रहा है, right? So he doesn't. But I'm saying that it takes a lot to be loyal to somebody like Dhritarashtra, who is constantly ignoring your advice, who is not listening to you, and yet you are not leaving this person's side. Yeah. And I believe when people talk about that you should have a friend like Karn, I would rather say have a friend like Sanjay and Vidur.
That is exactly what I was talking
about. But Sanjay was a friend who did not do your bidding when you were saying कि भाई गलत काम करो मेरे साथ. He basically fought in the war, but his role was very minor. And he kept giving you good advice. He did not leave your side, but he was never a yes man. कि भाई आप कह रहे हैं तो यही सही, which was what
Vyas selected Sanjay. So Vyas is himself telling us that he is one of a rare person,
Is worthy, yes.
This is
So
found
when
in
people say that about, in fact, today I was talking about Bhagavad Gita also. So I was saying that only Arjun was considered worthy to receive that message. The only other person worthy to receive that message was Sanjay. I mean,
and well, Yudhamanyu Utmaja was standing next to. We
technicalities.
can joke on
Please
that.
don't bring in your characters in my story. I am disqualifying them on technicalities. So basically, Arjun was chosen by Sri Krishna to receive that
So
message, but
close. So there is
Vyas
actually a
deemed
Subhashitani.
Sanjay worthy.
So there is a Subhashitani which mentions ki uh, when Arjun heard the message, right? So did sun, Vayu, all the things which are around us,
Elements, yes.
elements, including Aditya. And so there basically Aryaman and Anshuman Aditya were born as Yudhamanyu Utmaja. So there is actually a sort of indication there, but it's an indirect
अब वैसे
Subhashitani.
तो मतलब आदित्य के सन कर्ण भी थे, तो उसीलिए शायद
then we'll come up,
इसीलिए फिर स्टार प्लस वालों ने सोचा कि नहीं हो सकता है ये भी सुन रहे हो सकता है खाली अर्जुन को नहीं दिया और बीच में हर कैरेक्टर के मरने से पहले पॉज कर करके वो ज्ञान देते थे.
उनको स्पेशल टेलीकास्ट दे दिया.
No, seriously, they have done that. So
I know.
Character's death, भीष्म के मरने से जस्ट पहले श्री कृष्ण ने सब समय रोक दिया है, तीर हवा में लटके हुए हैं और श्री कृष्ण भीष्म को अपना उपदेश दे रहे हैं. फिर द्रोणाचार्य का जब मरने का समय आया, श्री कृष्ण सब दुनिया को रोक के उनको उपदेश. श्री कृष्ण का कोई और काम नहीं था क्या? श्री कृष्ण ने कसम खाई थी कि मैं हथियार नहीं उठाऊंगा. दुर्योधन बोलेगा एक और कसम खा लो कि मेरे लोगों को ज्ञान मिले. चुपचाप
ये कर सकते थे ना, ये सब कर सकते थे तो वो शालव को वहां पे फ्रीज करके वहां पहुंच जाते सभा पे.
वही तो मैं वही बोल रहा हूँ, यही सब टेक्निकलिटीज की वजह से स्टार प्लस वालों को मिल जाता है कि नहीं ऐसा नहीं, ऐसा ये भी हुआ होगा, फिर खाली इतना थोड़े हुआ होगा. ऐसे आपका ये सब जो चीज है इसको आप रोकिए. ये यू गो आउट ऑफ द वे.
गलत आइडियाज दे रहे हैं.
गलत आइडिया ले लेते हैं लोग.
एक हिंदी की पुस्तक है 100 साल पहले लिखी थी गुरुदत्त ने. इट्स कॉल्ड परित्राय साधु नाम.
विनाशाय दुष्कृताम.
परित्राय साधु नाम is the title. It is actually telling the whole story of Mahabharata from Sanjay's point of view.
So, but Mahabharata war तो anyways is from Sanjay's point of view.
No, महाभारत की पूरी कहानी. तो उसमें उन्होंने of course उसमें उन्होंने अपनी जरूर नमक में इस तरह से डाली, इन द सेंस कि जब पांडव अज्ञातवास में जा रहे हैं तो संजय अपना रथ लेके इधर उधर लेके जाते हैं, गंगा द्वार से इनको इधर लेके आते हैं जिससे कि वो गुप्तचर ना देख लें. तो वो सब चीजें तो बट द पॉइंट ये दिखाने की कोशिश की कि संजय वाज इवन ऑन इवन कील ऑन बोथ साइड्स.
And he was like Vidur, for example, like Vidur was important and respected by both the sides. Sanjay was similar. He was more like alter ego of Vidur only, in terms of his approach, his importance, and his what you say,
but with a sharper tongue actually.
हाँ मतलब वो ठीक है. And one more important point to note here is that Sanjay was also a Soot.
Yeah. Sutputra. Gavalgani was the Soot. He was Sutputra.
हाँ Soot ही हो गए ना यार.
हाँ वो गए. वो they try to show that Sutputra is an abuse. But Dhritarashtra Sutputra बताओ.
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Sanjay calls Karna Sutputra 147 times.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And Sanjay also fights in the war, as Gaurav was saying. He was a trained warrior. So Sutas were trained warriors. Basically, underline, highlight. Yeah.
So no, what I'm trying to say is कि जो लोग बोलते हैं कि सूतों को discriminate करते थे, importance नहीं देते थे. Here is this Sut who is one of the most important advisors to the king of Hastinapur and who does not mince his words.
Adhirath. Neil, another we mentioned, right? Neil. See, I'm saying it's so.
I'm saying Adhirath Neil is fine, but coming to Sanjay, he was the chief advisor to the king of Hastinapur, who did not feel afraid of saying by confronting him or saying unpleasant things to him. That shows that Sut was not somebody really unimportant lower down the ladder. And he was holding a very important position in this scheme of things. And I think if you look at it, the role Karna played to Duryodhan, Sanjay played the similar role to Dhritarashtra. But Sanjay was much more wiser and smarter and much better character than Karna. That was the difference.
Yeah.
तो वहां पे I would blame Dhritarashtra. In case of Duryodhan and Karna, both were equally to share the blame. But in case of Sanjay and Dhritarashtra, Sanjay never said yes, Dhritarashtra, you are right, just because Dhritarashtra wanted to hear it. And that is something that we don't get to see in modern retelling, especially TV serial में उसको BBC रेडियो बना के रख दिया कि वो बैठा हुआ है सैटेलाइट रेडियो रिसीव कर रहा है सिग्नल और इधर
यहाँ पे कहते हैं कैमरामैन ने बताया कि
ऐसे बिठा देना चाहिए था कि इधर से सिग्नल रिसीव कर रहा है इधर से सिग्नल ट्रांसमिट कर रहा है
उधर मूव करो सिग्नल नहीं आ रहा ठीक से।
हाँ एंटीना घुमाइए तो ऊपर फिर विदुर जी जाके उसका हाथ हिला रहे हैं कि हाँ नीचे आया धृतराष्ट्र दिख रहा है भीष्म की कितना शक्ल दिख रही है कि पैर दिख रहे हैं that's not how it works. So Sanjay actually used to go to war and the way Mahabharata the description is written.
Our national TV channel is named after his Doordarshan.
So anyway, so basically Sanjay used to go to war and the way the war chapters are described, it starts with Sanjay saying that so and so commander has died. So
returning back, because he comes back.
Bhishma starts with Sanjay narrating to Dhritarashtra and the first thing is ki Bhishma has died. And then he explains ki what has happened in last 10 days. And then he goes to war again, Drona dies, he comes back, tells Dhritarashtra ki Drona has died. And then he narrates the story of the past 5 days. That is how it is. And in fact, there are mentions of Sanjay and the last mention during the war. And Dhritarashtra has given Sanjay the boon that you will not be harmed by. So the Vedavyas has given boon to Sanjay that you will not be harmed during the battle. This boon did not make any sense if Sanjay was just a satellite radio. Because if he is not going to battle, what the purpose this boon is serving? And this boon was actually tested also on 18th day, as Pranshu was mentioning. So Sanjay was captured by Satyaki and Drishtadumna, and they wanted to kill him. And then Vedavyas appears in the battlefield and he says, nothing going. This guy is under my protection and nobody messes with my protection. And they said, okay, thank you that Duryodhan was not under your protection. We got Bhim going after him and he will they certainly kill him. So anyways, I think we had more to talk about, but we have hit a time.
To talk about. Actually, वही बात कर रहे थे ना कि वो is under my protection. युधिष्ठिर फॉलोड कृतवर्मा जब वो कृतवर्मा अश्वत्थामा कृपाचार्य भागते हैं ना और दुर्योधन वहां घुस जाता है अंदर तो कुछ मछुआरे देख लेते हैं some people two of these they see him go in and they tell the information but they are actually following Kritvarma. There's actually mention the king is following the army is actually following Kritvarma. Kritvarma goes and talks to Duryodhan and opens gives the secret away.
Yes. So anyways, I am getting message from my team that you have overshot the time limit and we had plans to do more. There was at least one more character me and Pranshu wanted to talk about. But anyways, I wanted to talk about Susharma. Today I have posted a quiz also on our Twitter page that who was the commander of the Samsaptak army. And that is someone I wanted to touch upon today. And Pranshu was supposed to take up the character of Kritvarma. And there are many more we want to talk about. So maybe we will keep another session on.
Do a one on Kaurav warriors. You know the unknown Kaurav warriors.
Yeah, we can plan more sessions. So thank you Pranshu and Bharati for joining us and sharing the entertaining stories and making this session enjoyable for all of us. And next week Sunday we are going to meet again. We will go back to the Flight of Deities interviews, and this time we will talk about Jagannath Puri invasions. Very interesting story, and you guys should tune in this certainly at 9 p.m. on Sunday. And don't forget to visit our game playranbhumi.com and buy this board game that we have created based on the epic battle that was fought at the Kurukshetra. And this whole board game has been created based on the Kurukshetra. The board itself is Kurukshetra. So the game is called Ranbhumi Kurukshetra, where the game is Ranbhumi, the board is Kurukshetra, and you can test your own ability to survive the battle of Kurukshetra using your Divyastras, the cards that we have created. We have given a visual identity to 21 Divyastras which were used in Mahabharata, and it would be interesting for kids to relate to these terminologies, these characters, and hopefully this playing this game will generate enough interest among these curious minds for them to explore this literature and know more. And in order to do that, you can go to our app, listen to our podcast, read our blogs. Bharti ji and Deepak are constant contributor to our blogs, so we talk about Mahabharata mostly. So thank you very much, and let's connect again Sunday, 11 June, 9 p.m., talking about 18 invasions of Sri Jagannath Puri Temple. Dhanyavad.